Don in London, hello. September 5th. My videos are all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both substance and behaviour in my case. The substance, alcohol, so an alcoholic in recovery, and behaviour, well, addicted to anything, people, places, things, being in the right place with the right people, doing the right things, having the right things, being in the perfect relationship with the right girl in the right place at the right time. And these days I realise back then, in the malady of drink, right girl, right place, wrong bloke, me, not knowing me or who I was. So a very thin veneer of a character with not much inside, really, because I didn't know what was inside me to like or love. So these days, one day at a time, learning to turn off my email program so it doesn't make noises off, life gets better. So how did I make the change from being an addict or alcoholic with no recovery and no life to live to somebody with a life to live, one day at a time? Simply, family, friends, professionals get me alive long enough to get the benefit of a moment of clarity, and that moment of clarity was simply life didn't seem like it could get any worse. And it did get worse, but I had that moment of clarity which allowed me to ask for help. And I didn't know what help was available. I'd never heard of the most obvious help for anybody with an addiction, being Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm in AA, the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, unashamedly an alcoholic in recovery. I have shame, or used to have shame, about how I used to be, until I realised that was the best I could with what I knew. And now I realise that I must forgive the best I knew back then in order to make progress today. But of course there are consequences to all actions, and some of those consequences were simply I could not be trusted, people didn't want to know me, and I didn't even want to know me either. And these days it's a gentle progress, making or living life as it can be lived today. So the Fellowship of AA has saved me from myself and the horror of dying early, and dying in a way which would not have helped me or anyone make sense of life at all, other than it would all seem a waste. But these days I realise that every drink that I took, every wrong turning that I took, has led to a sober life. My life story provides me with the evidence of how life can be lived today, with a little help from fellowship, in fact a great deal of help from people in fellowship. It doesn't mean that I am one way, one-dimensional, or anything like that. I have the greatest freedom I've ever had in my life to be me, and by the end of today I'll know more about who I am, with a bit of luck. So I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, and I'll share the AA preamble, which is on this little card here. And the reason why I can't represent AA is because I don't want to, and I cannot. Each and every person within is a trusted servant in unity, service and recovery, so we're all the same size, of equal size. So my voice is just one voice in recovery, and there are many voices needed, in my case, to stay sober, that I don't share about their recovery. It's their business, and anonymity is sacrosanct. It's a personal choice. So my choice around anonymity, well, I was never anonymous. People knew me and they knew where I got to. It was very obvious. So anonymity would have served me no good whatsoever. But it does for some, because it's important for them to separate what keeps them sober and keep on living life as they choose. And that's the most important thing, freedom of choice for each person to see it as they see it and get on with life as best they see fit. So I don't judge anyone about what is right for them in terms of anonymity. So the AA preamble sums it up really, and it goes like this. And the AA preamble is something shared at the beginning of every meeting, and is often forgotten by everyone because we hear it every day. But the reason why I emphasise it, it sets a structure for me in my life. and how fellowship helps me. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. That's it. That's what we do. We share and help stay in recovery. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. So that is the only requirement, a desire to stop drinking. There are no rules, laws or regulations in AA, because if there were rules, laws and regulations, nobody would go. We are a stubborn lot, defiant lot. There are also no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions, which means if we have a few pennies to spare, we help pay the rent, the tea, the coffee and a bit of literature, so we can keep on track. But we remain forever vigilant not to be wealthy. We have enough to cover our costs, and that's it. No issues of wealth or money should ever prevail in AA. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. At the same time, everybody in the fellowship is, or has, some alliances to the world. They may be part of a sect, a denomination, a political party, an organisation or an institution. And as people we may engage in any controversy, and we may endorse or oppose causes. So we don't lose who we are. We stay as we are, but the fellowship remains there for one reason: a desire to stop drinking and stay stopped and help others. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. That's it. So AA, free of the burden of self, an identity which is affiliated to anything, and it doesn't cost you anything if you don't want it to, or you can't afford it. And if you can't afford it, don't give any money. You need it to live and pay for food. So that's the preamble. And from that preamble, I suddenly learned that it was okay to start learning sober, that nobody was going to make me do anything. But what I learned over the years has been there are 12 steps for individuals to learn life principles, 12 life principles which are timeless. They work at any time of day, any day, about being open and honest, having an open, honest, willing attitude to life. Open, honest and willing to learn. And then there are 12 traditions about the fellowship, which are to do with unity, service and recovery. So everybody who goes to AA, be they're on their first moment or day, or their, I suppose, 10,000th day, or they've been there for 40 or 50 years, they're still there. They may have cobwebs and moths flying around them, but they're still sober a day at a time, and they often have a lot of wisdom to share. If asked. They don't necessarily volunteer it because they've said it too many times already, but they're always there and about. So 12 steps for me to learn how to live open, honest and willing, and 12 traditions to help with unity, service and recovery. And these are not tablets of stone. They are understood as we understand them each day. So they are timeless. The meaning of the steps and the meaning of the traditions can alter and vary as we learn what they mean to us in our lives. So there isn't one standard answer. The answer is what gives you freedom of choice and a sober life. And that can be as unique to the individual and as authentic to the individual as can be. So I share a bit of literature here and some of my thoughts and feelings over the years. And the book I choose to use or utilise, I hate the word using these days, is Daily Reflections, this one, which is an AA literature book. Some people say it was a challenge to a little black book issued by Hazelden. I don't care where it came from, it gives me a reading a day. And each reading is about a step or a tradition. So 12 months, 12 steps, 12 traditions. Guess what? September, 9th month, is about step 9 and tradition 9. And step 9 reads exactly as: made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And the tradition, AA as such, ought never be organised, but we may create service boards, not control boards or managerial boards, or committees directly responsible to those they serve. And those are the humble servants that we all are. So, or trusted servants, we're all the same size, equal power and understanding, equal vote and responsibilities, accountable for doing what we can to keep fellowship safe for new people and old timers. I'm a medium timer, but I like to be a daily timer. Recovery only works today if I work at it. So I can be back to my old self and rebellious and stubborn and defiant and think I know it all when I don't. Or I can be open, honest and willing on a daily basis to keep learning life. And we do the best we can do with what we've got. So the daily reading for today, which is sort of highlighting step 9, reads as emotional balance. And this is something that each person learns in recovery. There is a balance in emotions. They fit the moment we're in rather than loads of feelings coming from the past and upsetting the day. But for this purpose it's about making direct amends to such people wherever possible. And that comes from the 12 Steps and 12 Tradition book. When I survey my drinking days, I recall many people who my life but those days I troubled, but whose days I troubled through my anger and sarcasm. I could be very angry as a person, knowing it all, and knowing there were many things wrong, and they were wrong, but it wasn't really up for me to try and change them. These people are untraceable, and direct amends to them are not possible. The only amends I can make to those untraceable individuals, the only changes for the better I can offer, are indirect amends made to other people whose paths briefly cross mine. Courtesy and kindness, regularly practiced, help me to live in emotional balance, at peace with myself. So I'm not out there as a firebrand trying to sort your problems out on your behalf when you didn't ask for it. And I'm not trying to sort out the world's problems, which I can't, because they're beyond me. I just have to make sure that I'm doing my bit, which is to contribute in a positive way, in whatever shape or form it takes. So, I was thinking this morning, I've been out already to help a friend with nothing to do with fellowship. And I was aiming that I could do it yesterday, but I ran into the usual trouble that I have, chronic pain, which won't go away, so I had to rest long enough, and this morning I've made it, done what I can, and hopefully it'll be of use. Anyway, people matter today. This is what I was thinking when I came back. I was sharing with friends the nature of forgiveness. Nature of forgiveness changes through time. And this was last night, actually, I was thinking about it. Often we will not apply forgiveness to ourselves, and yet forgive others everything. At my worst, I was doing the best I could. At their worst, it was the best they could. Forgiving is equalising. That is, just accepting I'm a human being, making human life experiences, I guess. Some good, some bad, some indifferent. We always face consequences of our actions at our worst, and that's true, because some people won't want to know us. And we need to make restitution as we can for things and mistakes we've done. And hopefully we learn and change as we may. That was then, this is now, just for today. So back in the day, in my addictive behaviour days, I made huge mistakes, and consequences are, some people will never want to know me again, quite understandably, because they don't trust me, don't like me, the person I became. But today, it's what I do today, in terms of restitution, amends, and being just an ordinary person. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. Every person is extraordinary, ordinary, a human learning machine, if we choose to be so. And it is a choice, freedom of choice today, to work on attitude and behaviour. And the only ones we can work on are our own. If we try and regulate anybody else, of course, they quite rightly jab us in the ribs and say, stop it. Or they go along with it but don't actually change and think, I'm going to walk away from this person and never have anything to do with them again. And I guess that's true. Why should they? So September 2005 to 2010, some thoughts. In inverted commas, get over it. So often said in a harsh moment, get over it, and whatever the it may be. We can chew on a long time on it before we do. The it to get over is usually the impact of people, places and things on me and you. An impact we do not like, usually a loss of something we see precious and important to us. Some say we need live recovery like a loose garment, room to move and breathe, get used to new attitudes and outlooks. Let go what is not ours. To covet is often the answer. And covet means to feel inordinate desire for what belongs to another. Normally, their free will. Yep, and what we most often covet is freedom. And the irony is, as we learn in recovery, is we cherish our freedom to live well, to love, be loved and useful. And then when others exercise their choices and freedoms, we can become quite bitter and twisted very quickly. They don't love us back and we feel useless, followed by every dark thought as a response. So true. To love, be loved and useful. Yet we can rob people of all those things by our own behaviour, of not loving them, not loving ourselves, and being quite destructive rather than useful, because we are hurting in some way. Emotional balance is not a neutral way to live where nothing upsets our outlook. Actually, everything upsets our balances. Physically, every time our heartbeat goes up or down, as our feelings impact on us, we are creating a new balance. So we feel life as we go along, and our heartbeat is raised many times a day by what is going on. All good, and this reaction to our situations keeps us safe and also can put us in harm's way. Joy and sadness in different amounts are experienced each day. And my joy of going out into the West End on Saturday night to see all the beautiful girls going out playing with all the beautiful men, I guess, that they see as beautiful, or whatever your preference is, people are beautiful. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't going out to drink. I was just reflecting on how I used to be back in the day. And I did have some good times. And I wasn't a complete twit or twat. Sorry about that word. I guess it's quite a bad word in some parts of the UK. And in America it just sounds a bit rude, which it is a bit rude. Other thoughts, our emotions are us. And then we think, often single-mindedly, to our view and not the overall view of a situation, so we only see it our way. Balance comes when we accept everyone has the same rights and the same responsibilities as us, but our rights and responsibilities are our responsibility. As to others form their own attitudes and behaviour. At this moment we find a conflict on so many levels. No one person sees our outlook as we see it, and the same applies. We do not see another's outlook and situation unless we pause and reflect. And I used to do that a lot, to my own detriment, so I was a bit of a people pleaser. So I'd rather see you happy than me happy, but if you were happy, I was happy, by reflection, I guess. I realise now I let a lot of things slide, mainly me. Anyway, as we learn the viewpoints of others and how they differ from ours, we find the connection, how to have empathy, how we see, not how I see all the time. Life is a series of agreements and disagreements, inclusion and exclusion, as we learn in the moment. So sometimes we are included, which is great, and sometimes we are excluded by forgetfulness or deliberate actions. But we can't, make people love us and like us. We can just be what we are and see what happens. Most often people include us if they like us. But if they don't like us, why keep on banging your head against a brick wall? Yes, I have done that many a time. Maybe they ended up tolerating me. But who wants to be tolerated? Go with the flow of where the love is. rather than stop trying to be loved by people who don't want to love you. Yeah, I guess that's true. Balance, emotional balance, something I see as I swing by. Until I ask and connect, until I can accept the situations as they are today, and then work on choices based on others' outlooks as well as my own, I'll keep on swinging by, seeing the balance in other people's lives, not my own. And from last year and the year before, in a judgmental frame of mind, we see in others what we do not see in ourselves. It does not take much persuading to see their faults, and then the world can turn dark very quickly. Better to look inward to good judgment, make the best choices, let go, and move along in a timely manner today. Move along in a timely manner today. Yeah, don't get bogged down in trying to be liked. Don't get bogged down in trying to control others, because they're uncontrollable. If they can't deal with it, what makes us think we can deal with what they're trying to deal with? Another year, a day in the life as you see it, judged and be judged, judged and judged again in the malady of addiction. Snap decisions others made to avoid us at all costs. Odd these days, we can do the same, just judge harshly in recovery when we encounter our fellows in the malady. I am responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help. I want the hand of AA always to be there, and for that I am responsible. I can forget that because it's easier to walk past somebody in trouble rather than just offer a helping hand. They may say, get lost, or something very similar, but that's their choice, and we mustn't push ourselves into other people's lives when they don't want us there. There are authorities to do that, higher powers than us, and we have to be very careful. Our behaviour can put a person off recovery as much as encourage them into recovery. So find out whether you're welcome, and if you're not welcome, try and just leave them something, even if it's just a little bit of dignity, even when indeed there's no dignity. Respect is key. Anyway, that's me for today. I'm very glad I got out to do what I promised to do. I'm paying for it because it's very painful backache, and I'm having trouble with the stairs again. Anyway, that's just me. Chronic conditions don't go away, they stay with us, and we learn to deal with them as we may. So a bit of pain isn't going to spoil my whole outlook, but it does mean that there are limits to what I can do and cannot do. And the can and cannot do is where I end these videos, with the serenity prayer, which is, or serenity exhortation, or serenity meditation. It's about just for today, what I can and cannot do. I can change me and my attitudes and behaviour. I can't change your attitudes and behaviour. But if I try, I'm going to cause myself grief. And if I judge you, you will judge me harshly back. Most likely. Who wants to be judged? So, the serenity prayer helps me when judgment is coming to the fore. I'll try and let it go. And it is a can do, can't do, wisdom to know the difference in any moment. And I keep on learning the difference in every moment. So it's a very much it's a timeless meditation. It works whenever you're not sure what to do next, or an automatic response is going to cause grief. Stop the automatic response. Start responding rather than reacting from history sometimes. It's all a fine balance, this emotional balance malarkey. It's the very stuff of life. How to love, be loved and useful. Anyway, the serenity prayer. To God, or in good conscience, as is right for you. Not for me, as is right for you. That's how it works. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. For me in the moment and always. Just for today.